Alright, what's up guys? This is Init. I'm going to show you how to make a growl in Massive. It's the first growl from my Fly remix. Sounds like this. So yeah, it's that first one. Alright, so first we're going to open up Massive. Here we go, new sound. Alright, so first we're going to start, the first oscillator is going to be carbon. I really like this oscillator a lot. Has like tons of different sounds in this one wavetable. It's really cool. So yeah, pretty crazy. Anyways, so it's gonna be set to the bend plus or minus plus, which when you do that to the oscillators, it just gives them kind of a grittier texture. It kind of loses the original tone a little bit, but it sounds really cool. So I have it set to about here. Then I'm going to put the envelope on here. I do this with a lot of growls, particularly to give it movement, like the initial movement and sound. You can use your ear to do this as well, but I think normally I have it like dipping like this, so basically I have it starting at the top and going down, which is the decay. So basically it's starting from this end here and dropping down to here, and then you control the speed that it does that with the decay. So yeah, the next oscillator I used a sonic. I also like this one. It's not as gritty, but it has like almost like a bell tone to it. It's pretty cool, layered with other stuff. That's that one by itself. And I have it set to about here. And I actually used a different envelope on this one. I think it was about the same settings. Pretty close. Yeah, so both of those together sounds like this. And then I added a basic saw wave under it, just really quiet, just to kind of fill it out a little bit. Which I also go down here to the modulation oscillator, and I added, I think, quite a bit of phase modulation, to that saw wave. Shoot. So it's probably kind of hard to hear that unless you have speakers, but it's kind of just adding like a nice little layer under it of like kind of a thicker sound. Then I went down here and added the parabolic shaper. A lot of the times I use both of these insert effects, but on this particular sound I only used one. And normally I use either the sine shaper or the parabolic shaper. They're both really awesome. And they both sound different, obviously. Another thing to note is, it doesn't really matter for this tutorial because I'm not using this, but the way that these work is the first insert is basically routed to the first filter, and the second insert is is routed to the second filter. You can change that in the routing, but that's how it's set up by default. So it's a good thing to note when you're like, if you're using both of them. I'll show you. If you try, so you'll hear this. Right, so it's like adding a little distortion. Then if I turn this on and I choose, say, Sine Shaper, it's not doing anything because this filter volume is not turned up, and you don't have anything mixed to the second filter. So the way that I normally run my filters, which is how I have it on here, is I run them in series, which is where the oscillators go through filter 1 and then through filter 2, and then I have this set to be all filter 2 for the output. So yeah, so then now you'll hear this Sine Shaper. I'll show you. So now, since both filters are on and it's playing through both filters, you can hear that. Anyways, like I said, that part doesn't really matter that much, but it's just good to know. Yeah, so the first filter that I chose is a double notch, which is pretty good for growls. Yeah, and I just have the settings about here. And I put this envelope. I used one envelope on this sound to do more like the main movement of it, and then I did one that's on the pitch of all these, and it's also on this. I don't know why I did that. I just sometimes just do random shit. Yeah, so filter settings about here. So you can kind of hear what that does. Adds definitely some more noticeable movement. For the second filter, I did a band reject. Also use this one all the time. Yeah, and then I just put the same movement envelope on here. Sounds pretty dope. Alright, then I put a classic tube. Almost turned all the way up. Dimension expander. Use this pretty often as well. Normally with a really low size and like a dry wet about here. Play with it, use your ears again. This is basically a stereo imager type effect. It makes things really wide. These are normally the two that I use on the regular effects, but I have been using some small reverbs, and the delay also is pretty cool with some certain settings. You can give it some crazy textures, but they're all cool. They all do cool stuff, but those are the ones I use most frequently. The EQ is actually important because I do this on most of my sounds too, is I assign whatever main movement modulator that I have, whether it's an envelope or an LFO or a performer. I put it on this boost, which this boost is controlling this knob, which is selecting the frequency. So basically, I'm basically using the envelope to boost and cut the frequency that I'm choosing here. So definitely, as I'm saying with everything in this tutorial, use your ears because you can get a lot of different effects with this. And also, even sometimes if you put the envelope on here, on the frequency, it's cool too. But yeah, for this one I have it about here. So it sounded a little bit intense right here because it was pulling out a lot more low, like mids and mid-lows. So basically I just moved it up a little bit to kind of let some of those come back in. Yeah, anyways, play with it. The other thing I did, which is like one of the last things, is I put this envelope on here. Now, I already explained the envelopes earlier, but yeah, basically what this is doing is I'm setting this up for semitones, Shoot, my audio went out on my Ableton recorder. 1 second. Okay. Yeah, so basically I put the envelope on the pitch. I put it up 4 semitones, so basically 4, a +4 is going to be this top part right here, so you can kind of visually see what it's doing. Basically it's starting up 4 and it's dropping down at whatever I set the decay to. So you can make it like rise up and then go back down. I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff. I really like envelopes because you can basically shape the sound to do whatever you want. But so I'll let you listen. So yeah, you get the idea. I should have showed you this earlier because it's one of the first things that I do normally, is turn your voices in your voicing tab, turn it up. You can go a lot higher, you can go all the way up to 16, and you can get some pretty cool sounds with that, but sometimes it gets a little bit muddy, and it'll sound a little muddy right now too, but when you turn this on, it basically what this does is it gives you more stereo width. So this is basically the center, and you'll hear the sound is really centered. And as you move it out, it basically widens it a lot. It sounds really cool. So you'll probably have to have headphones or speakers to listen to that. I can hear it even on my laptop, but yeah, it's kind of have to listen for it a little bit. But yeah, so I think that's basically the sound. So yeah, comment and let me know what you guys think. I'd love to do more tutorials, more massive patches, and I don't know, even some more advanced ones like some aspects of mixdown or something like that. Yeah, alright, peace guys.